Welcome back, everybody, to another deep dive. This time we're looking into Operator, this AI tool that OpenAI announced just last week. And it's pretty amazing from what we've seen so far.
Yeah, it's really interesting. Basically, they've created an AI that can use a web browser, just like a person would, to complete tasks.
Okay, so let's get right into it. So what is Operator exactly?
So Operator, it's still early days. They're calling it a research preview at this point. It's available right now for US Pro users.
Oh, so like a beta.
Yeah, exactly like a beta. You can check it out at operator.chatgpt.com. And OpenAI has said they plan to expand it to other users, like the Plus and Team and Enterprise users later on. And eventually it'll even be integrated into ChatGPT.
Wow, so ChatGPT, it's already amazing, but it's going to get even more powerful.
That's what it seems like. Because ChatGPT is already really good at understanding and generating text. But Operator takes it a step further.
Yeah, how does Operator actually work? Like, how does it use a web browser?
Yeah.
Okay, so it uses a new model called a computer using agent model, or they call it CUA for short. And this CUA, it combines the visual capabilities of GPT-4o with advanced reasoning through reinforcement learning.
Okay, break that down for me. What does that mean?
Okay, so basically, Operator uses screenshots to see what's on a website, like the layout, the text, the images, all that. And then it simulates mouse clicks and keyboard entries to interact with the website.
So it's actually like it's seeing the website and then it's controlling the mouse and keyboard
Uh,
to do stuff.
yeah, that's right. And the cool thing is, it can self-correct. Like, if it makes a mistake, it can try again. And it can even hand control back to the user if it needs help.
That's cool, like a collaboration.
Exactly, like a collaboration between the AI and the human.
So what can Operator actually do right now?
Well, they've trained it on a variety of tasks,
Yeah.
like, filling out forms, ordering groceries,
Yeah.
creating memes even.
Really? That's pretty wild.
Yeah, it can be pretty creative, actually. But the really powerful thing is, it can interact with websites directly without needing special integrations or APIs.
So it's not limited to certain websites or apps.
Right, exactly. It can learn to use any website, basically.
Can you give me some specific examples? Like what kind of things can I actually have Operator do for me?
Sure. So, for example, it can book flights on Kayak, order groceries from Instacart, make reservations on OpenTable, things like that.
So it's like having a personal assistant.
Yeah, in a way, it's like having a really efficient personal assistant
Yeah.
who's always available and never gets tired.
But wouldn't it be kind of slow? Like if it has to use a web browser and wait for pages to load and stuff?
Well, it can actually be pretty fast because it can handle multiple tasks simultaneously. Like, it can have multiple tabs open in the browser, and it can switch between them quickly.
So while it's booking your flight, it could also be searching for hotels.
Exactly.
That's pretty amazing. But let's think about the bigger picture here. How would this actually change someone's daily life?
So imagine waking up and asking Operator to book a doctor's appointment. It navigates to the clinic's website, finds an available time slot that works for you, even fills out all the necessary forms, all while you're enjoying your coffee.
That sounds amazing. But what about people who are less tech savvy? Would Operator be accessible to everyone?
That's a really good question, and one that OpenAI is definitely thinking about. Accessibility is going to be key.
Okay, so it's convenient. But what about security and privacy? I mean, we're talking about an AI that's interacting with websites and potentially sensitive information.
Right. You're right to be concerned about that.
Yeah.
And OpenAI has implemented a bunch of safeguards to prevent abuse and keep users in control.
Okay, so what kind of safeguards are we talking about?
So for starters, there's takeover mode, where Operator asks for user intervention when dealing with sensitive data, like login credentials or payment information.
So basically it says, hey, I need your help with this one.
Exactly. And it doesn't collect or store any data entered during takeover mode.
Okay, that's good.
They also have user confirmations. So Operator will ask for your approval before taking any major actions, like submitting an order or sending an email.
So it's not going to accidentally buy a bunch of stuff without your permission.
Right, exactly.
What about tasks that are potentially risky or harmful? Like, could someone tell Operator to access their bank account and transfer money?
So that's where task limitations come in. Operator is trained to decline certain sensitive tasks, including banking transactions or making high-stakes decisions.
So it's like it knows its boundaries.
Right, it's programmed with a sense of ethics, and on top of that, it also has a watch mode for sensitive sites like email or financial platforms, where it requires close user supervision.
So it's like having a watchful parent looking over its shoulder.
Exactly. And OpenAI has also implemented a monitor model that continuously looks for suspicious behavior and can pause tasks if needed.
Wow, so they've really thought this through.
Yeah, they put a lot of effort into security and privacy, and they have a whole detection pipeline in place with automated and human reviewers to identify and address threats.
That's good to hear, because no system is perfect.
Right, there's always room for improvement.
Okay, so we've talked about what Operator can do, the safeguards they have in place, and its limitations. But what about the really big picture? How might this technology reshape the way we interact with the digital world?
Well, imagine a world where interacting with websites isn't limited to clicking and typing. You could just tell your AI agent what you need done, and it takes care of the rest. It navigates those complex interfaces, completes tasks really efficiently.
That sounds pretty futuristic. But wouldn't that make things kind of impersonal? Like part of the online experience is the discovery, the browsing,
Yeah.
the sense of agency.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's going to be important to find a balance between convenience and maintaining the human element.
Right, we don't want to lose that sense of exploration and discovery.
Exactly. It's about using this technology to enhance our experiences, not diminish them.
I think that's a great point, and I think that's a perfect place to pause for now. We've covered a lot of ground in this first part of our deep dive, from the technical underpinnings of Operator to the potential impact on our daily lives.
Yeah, we've looked at the security and privacy measures and the broader implications for the future of the digital world.
But we're just getting started. In the next part of our deep dive, we'll delve into the potential impact of Operator on businesses, the workforce, and even the public sector.
Yeah, we'll look at the ethical considerations and the debate about AI's role in society.
So stay tuned for part 2 of our Operator deep dive.
Welcome back. So before the break, we were talking about how Operator could really change things for individuals. You know how they use the web?
Right, like for everyday tasks and stuff?
Exactly, but it goes way beyond that. What about businesses? How could Operator revolutionize the way they work?
Yeah, that's interesting. So if it can handle things like booking appointments and ordering groceries for people, it could probably handle even more complex stuff in a business setting.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Think about customer service, for example. Instead of waiting on hold or dealing with those clunky chatbots, imagine you go to a company's website and boom, you're connected to an AI agent like Operator.
Okay, so Operator could be the customer service rep.
Right, and it can understand what you need, it can access your account info,
Uh-huh.
and actually provide real help, personalized assistance.
No more of those frustrating phone menus.
Yeah, exactly. It can really change the game for customer satisfaction.
But wouldn't businesses have to totally redo their websites and systems for this to even work?
That's a good question. But remember, Operator interacts with websites visually through the interface. So it doesn't necessarily need those custom API integrations or back-end access. It can learn to navigate those existing systems, just like a human employee would.
So businesses could implement Operator without having to rebuild everything from scratch.
That's the idea. It could make it a lot easier for businesses to start using AI
Mm.
for things like customer service.
That makes sense. But what about jobs? If AI agents start taking over those customer service roles and other tasks, won't that lead to job losses?
Yeah, I mean, that's a valid concern. It's something we definitely need to talk about as AI becomes more integrated into the workforce. But throughout history, we've seen the technological advances tend to shift the job market, not eliminate jobs altogether.
So it's more about transforming jobs rather than replacing them.
Exactly. AI agents like Operator could free up human employees to focus on more complex tasks, things that require those uniquely human skills.
Like creativity and critical thinking,
Yeah.
things like that.
So AI could actually empower human workers to be more efficient and focus on those higher level tasks.
Right. It's all about collaboration.
Humans and AI working together.
Exactly. Each leveraging their strengths.
And that could extend beyond just the private sector, too.
Right. Absolutely. Think about the public sector, the potential impact of Operator on government services.
I hadn't really thought about that. So imagine a city government that uses Operator to streamline those interactions with residents.
Okay, so instead of waiting in line at City Hall.
Yeah, or trying to navigate those confusing government websites, you could just interact with Operator.
It could answer questions, process requests, even schedule appointments.
Exactly like having a 247 virtual city hall.
That's pretty cool.
It could make those services way more accessible and efficient, especially for people who have trouble with those traditional channels.
And that brings us back to that accessibility question.
Right, if we're going to have these AI agents everywhere, they need to be designed for everyone.
No matter their tech skills or any disabilities.
Exactly. That means thinking about things like the user interface, design language options, alternative input methods.
So everyone can benefit from this technology.
That's the goal.
It's a great goal. But, we've talked about the potential benefits. But what about the potential risks? Aside from jobs, of course.
Well, one concern is misuse. I mean, operator is a powerful tool. And like any tool, it could be used for the wrong reasons.
So we need to make sure it's not used to spread misinformation or manipulate people.
Exactly. It's not just about protecting operator from hackers. It's about preventing it from being used as a weapon.
Okay, so how do we do that?
Well, it's going to take a lot of different approaches. Technical safeguards, ethical guidelines, and public awareness.
So on the technical side, developers need to build in really strong security measures.
Right, and they need to constantly update them.
Because the bad guys are always trying to find new ways to exploit things.
Like an arms race.
Yeah, exactly. But technology alone isn't enough.
Right, we need those clear ethical guidelines too for how AI agents are developed and used.
So OpenAI has some guidelines.
They do, but it's an ongoing conversation. We need input from ethicists, policymakers, the public.
It's a big conversation to have.
It is. It's like when we had to figure out how to deal with nuclear energy or genetic engineering.
Those powerful technologies that could be used for good or bad.
Exactly. We need to have that same kind of conversation about AI.
And it needs to be based on a real understanding of how this technology works.
Yeah, its capabilities, its limitations, its potential impact.
So we're not just users anymore, we're collaborators with AI. Even stewards in a way.
That's a good way to put it.
It's a big responsibility.
It is, but it's also really exciting.
It is. It feels like we're on the cusp of something huge.
Yeah, we're witnessing the birth of a new era.
And we have the chance to shape it.
For the better, hopefully.
Okay, but let's bring it back to Operator specifically. We've talked about its potential in all these different areas, but it's still early days.
It is. It's still under development.
So what are some of the challenges they're still working on?
Well, we talked about how it can struggle with dynamically changing web content. Another challenge is context switching.
Context switching.
Yeah, like operators great at following instructions and completing tasks. But sometimes it gets confused if the context of the task changes.
So if you ask it to book a flight, and then in the middle of that you ask it to find a restaurant near your hotel, it might get mixed up.
Yeah, exactly. That whole thing of maintaining a consistent context and handling unexpected changes. It's something AI agents are still learning.
So how are they addressing those challenges?
Well, one approach is reinforcement learning.
Where the AI learns through trial and error?
Yeah, it gets rewards for doing things right and penalties for mistakes.
So it's kind of like training a dog.
In a way, yeah. But instead of the treats, you're using digital rewards to reinforce the desired behavior.
That's pretty cool.
It is. And developers are always experimenting with new techniques to improve those learning and adaptation capabilities.
It's really amazing to see how fast this technology is developing.
Yeah, it feels like there's a new breakthrough every day.
It's mind-boggling to think about what AI might be able to do in the future.
I know, it's really exciting.
Especially if it can help us solve some of the world's biggest problems.
Yeah, like climate change or disease.
It could really make a difference.
It could. But we need to be careful, too.
Right, we need to make sure AI is used for good.
And that we don't create new problems in the process.
That's why these conversations we're having are so important.
Absolutely.
We need to be thinking about the ethical implications.
And making sure AI aligns with our values.
So in this part of our deep dive, we've explored those far-reaching implications of Operator.
Yeah, from how it could change businesses and government to the bigger societal questions about AI's role in our lives.
But there's still more to come. In the final part of our Operator deep dive, we'll shift gears and look at what OpenAI has planned for the future of this technology.
We'll talk about wider access integration with other tools and all those exciting possibilities as AI agents like Operator keep evolving.
So stay tuned for the final part of our deep dive. All right, so welcome back to our deep dive into Operator. We've talked about what it is, how it works, the potential impact, the challenges, the risks, all that. But now let's look ahead. What's next for Operator?
Well, that's the big question, isn't it? OpenAI has some really interesting plans for expanding its capabilities and reach.
So right now it's just in that research preview stage. With a limited number of users.
Right, but they're planning to make it available to more people and integrate it with other tools.
So it's going to become even more powerful and versatile.
Exactly. One of their key plans is to make this CUA model, the heart of Operator basically, available to developers.
Through their API.
Yeah, exactly. Through their API.
So developers could create their own computer-using agents.
Right. They could build custom agents for specific tasks or industries.
Wow, that opens up a lot of possibility.
It really does. Imagine agents for managing social media, analyzing financial data, even designing
It's
websites.
kind of mind-blowing.
It is, and it's not just about creating new agents. OpenAI is also exploring ways to integrate Operator with existing tools,
Like ChatGPT.
exactly like ChatGPT,
So you could be chatting with ChatGPT and then seamlessly have it complete tasks for you.
all in the same interface.
That would be incredible.
It would, but as we've talked about, there are ethical considerations and risks.
Right. How is OpenAI addressing those as they expand Operator?
Well, they've been very vocal about their commitment to responsible AI development. They have those guidelines they published for safe and ethical use. And they've built in those safeguards within Operator itself.
Like takeover mode and task limitations.
Right, exactly.
But guidelines and safeguards aren't always enough.
You're right. It ultimately comes down to how people choose to use these tools.
So how do we make sure Operator is used for good?
Well, OpenAI is trying to foster that broader conversation about the ethical implications. They're talking to policymakers, researchers of the public, trying to make sure AI aligns with our values as a society.
It's a conversation we all need to be part of.
Definitely.
It's easy to get caught up in the hype, but
Yeah.
we have to remember that Operator is still early stage.
Yeah, it has limitations, it makes mistakes, it's still learning.
It's not some magic bullet.
Right, it's a tool with incredible potential, but it's up to us to guide its development and make sure it's used responsibly.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, I think there are a few key takeaways. First, Operator is a huge step forward for AI. It shows us what's possible.
It does.
Second, while it has the potential to make our lives better, we need to be careful.
We do.
We need to think about the risks and the ethics.
And make sure AI is aligned with human values.
And finally, this is just the beginning. Operator is a glimpse into the future.
A future where AI will play a bigger and bigger role.
So we need to stay informed, engage in the conversation, and help shape that future.
Absolutely.
Well, that's about all the time we have for today. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of Operator. We hope you found it informative and thought-provoking, and maybe even a little bit inspiring. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep pushing the boundaries of what's possible.